Simple. If these animals were to come back to roam this planet, then the world would shut down. In our last video, we talked about 7 extinct animals that are being de-extincted. And today, we will be talking about 6 others that should absolutely not come back. At all costs, because if they do... Number 1. The Megalodon. Growing up to 18 meters long and weighing over 18 tons, the Megalodon ruled the Earth's ocean over 23 million years ago. It was an undisputed apex predator, a hypercarnivorous of the early Miocene to Pliocene epochs, and also the now extinct shark genus, Otodus, great-great-great-great-grandparent. The Megalodon, scientifically Otodus megalodon, was the largest shark to ever exist, reaching lengths of up to 18 meters, which is 3 times the size of a modern great white shark. It was bigger than any shark alive today, and probably faster too. It had massive jaws and teeth, and its teeth could grow up to 7 inches long to make it easier for them to easily crush bones and rip apart large prey. Weirdly, the Megalodon thrived in warm, shallow water, and its meal consisted of whales, dolphins, seals, and other large marine mammals. I think you now have an idea on why the Megalodon should absolutely not come back. If this predator could eat whales, animals that help conserve our ocean floors, then, my friend, it would be a literal sea monster. First of all, this apex predator preys on whales. Whales are a leading pioneer in keeping our oceans healthy. Whale poop fertilizes the ocean. Their feces are rich in iron and nitrogen, which in turn feeds the plankton which fish feed on, and thriving fish in the ocean supports the food chain. When whales die and sink, their carcasses support entire ecosystems at the ocean floor for decades. A decrease in whale deaths due to unnatural predation could disrupt this balance. In fact, this was seen when many whale populations were nearly wiped out by commercial whaling in the 1800s to 1900s. Species like blue whales and right whales are still critically endangered. Introducing an apex predator that eats whales would set back decades of conservation work. Imagine trying to keep tabs on the Megalodon. Nothing in the modern ocean would control its population. It could overhunt, wiping out not just whales, but large sharks and marine mammals. Like what happened when invasive species were introduced to fragile ecosystems, like European rabbits in Australia, which were introduced for hunting, that grew to hundreds, even millions by the early 20th century, which led to overgrazing, soil erosion, destruction of native plant habitats, and decline of many native marsupials and birds. Reintroducing this creature would be a bad idea. It could create a ripple effect. Fewer whales could lead to less plankton, which creates a scarcity in food for fish. When there is a scarcity in fish, it leads to seabird starvation, and also coastal communities could lose income if their main source of income comes from fishing. Learning about all this, do we really want the Megalodon to come back? The Livyatan was a literal sea monster. Livyatan melvillei was named after the biblical sea monster Leviathan, and also Moby Dick author Herman Melville. It was a giant hyperpredatory sperm whale that ruled the oceans 15 to 10 million years ago. The Livyatan grew up to 18 meters long, kind of similar to a modern sperm whale, but built like a killing machine. Body length is still unknown, as the hollow skull is the only one preserved. It had these massive sharp teeth that interlocked to make sure its prey never escaped. And they grew up to 14 inches long. the largest of any known whale. Both upper and lower jaws had large conical teeth, unlike modern sperm whales. Livyatan was part of a fossil stem group of hyperpredatory sperm whales, commonly known as macroraptorial sperm whales or raptorial sperm whales, alongside the extinct whales Brigmophysita, Acrophysita, and Zygophysita. It lived in warm coastal waters worldwide, and fossils found in Peru, Chile, and Australia, and is said to have been larger than the Megalodon. It fed on other whales, seals, large fish, possibly even megalodon pups. Its bite could crush bones. The Livyatan had echolocation abilities like modern sperm whales, but with much stronger jaws, which it likely used in active predation. You now know why it can absolutely not come back. The biggest competitor to the Livyatan was probably the Megalodon. It is believed that the reason why the Livyatan went extinct was due to declining food. It feeds on whales, and like we mentioned before, whales are crucial for the survival of our ocean. And also, we do not have its proper DNA as of now. Tell me, why would you want something like a Titanoboa roaming around Earth at this time and age? This gigantic 50-foot-long snake that lived in swampy hot regions and could swallow a whole 23 feet, 1-ton crocodile. Snakes already scare so many people, especially me. Now imagine one longer and larger than your living room. Fun fact: the anaconda and Titanoboa belong to the same family. It lived during the Middle and Late Paleocene. The genus name derives from the Greek word titan, in addition to boa, the genus of the family Boidae. The species name is a reference to the Cerrejon region it is known from. It was first discovered in the early 2000s by the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute. Along with students from the University of Florida, recovered 186 fossils of Titanoboa. There is not a lot of data on the Titanoboa, but it is thought to have been a semi-aquatic apex predator, its diet consisting primarily of fish. It evolved following the extinction of all non-avian dinosaurs, being one of the largest reptiles to evolve after the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event. With that said, Titanoboa should not come back, not because it would terrorize Earth, but because the climatic conditions aren't suitable for their growth. Titanoboa thrived in extremely hot and humid conditions, an average temperature of 32 to 34 degrees Celsius. Earth was much warmer after the dinosaur extinction. Today's climate likely wouldn't sustain it, unless we hit terrifying climate change levels. But it looks like we are heading that way. And just like the Megalodon, the longer DNA stays, the more it degrades. Snake DNA degrades quickly. We don't even have well-preserved samples. Yes, we could probably genetically engineer an anaconda or a boa to look and function, like the Titanoboa, but don't have well-preserved samples. And also, it was an apex predator during its time. It might ambush our already existing apex predators, thus destroying the ecosystem. Imagine one Titanoboa on the loose. It didn't evolve alongside us, meaning it wouldn't avoid villages or cities. Like their name. These birds invoke terror in most creatures that crossed paths with them. Phorus racids, or commonly known as terror birds, are an extinct family of large carnivorous, mostly flightless birds that were among the largest top predators in South America during the Cenozoic era. Their size ranged from 3 to 10 feet tall, and some were as tall as a modern ostrich, but far more muscular. They had massive hooked beaks that could tear into the flesh of its prey, which included small to medium-sized mammals, such as rodents, horses, and even young ungulates. Their prey had lower chances of escaping due to their powerful legs. That aided them in running up to 60 kilometers per hour. Notable species include the Titanis walleri, which is like one of the largest, and migrated to North America. Kelenken guillemois, which is the tallest, with a skull over 2 feet long. They went extinct around 1.8 million years ago due to climate change and competition with other mammalian predators. Terror birds were hyper-carnivorous and aggressive, unlike modern birds. They could pose a threat to us humans posing as potential man-eaters. We could possibly keep them in captivity. However, this would be difficult because they were built for open hunting. Their DNA is also too degraded for proper cloning. Plus, we have a much bigger challenge as some species of birds are almost going extinct. There are birds which are much more beneficial for the conservation of our ecosystem, unlike terror birds, such as cassowaries or kiwis. Jaguars are probably the better option to rewild our ecosystem. Would you want a 500-pound cat with foot-long fangs roaming near your home? Probably not, and not for the reasons you are thinking about. The saber-toothed cat roamed the earth during the Pleistocene epoch and went extinct over 10,000 years ago. It had 3 species: Smilodon fatalis, which was most well known in North America; Smilodon populator, the largest species found in South America; and the Homotherium, a scimitar-toothed cat, which was more widespread. The saber-toothed cat mainly hunted larger prey such as mammoths and giant sloths, which are also extinct. But we have elephants and possibly other mammals. But here is the thing. Elephants are already an endangered species, so why would we want a predator that could possibly de-extinct them? It could also outcompete or kill modern big cats such as lions and tigers, or might turn to livestock or even humans if natural prey is scarce. You may think, maybe we could keep it in zoos. Wouldn't that solve like 70% of our problem? But here is the thing. Smilodon was a social apex predator. Keeping it in zoos or reserves would be just cruel for it, just not enough. Smilodon thrived in Pleistocene North and South America during the Ice Age. Today's ecosystems have drastically changed. There is dense urbanization and farming dominate former wild areas. Reintroducing it would be like dropping a predator into a land that no longer recognizes it or needs it. The population of tigers, leopards, cheetahs, and lions are declining too. Why revive a dead predator when we're losing the living ones? And also, Smilodon likely lived and hunted in packs, unlike most cats. But without living specimens, its behavioral complexity is unknown. A recreated Smilodon could be aggressive, unstable, or suffer in captivity. Like we said in our last video, if the saber-toothed cat were to be brought back, then it would most likely be gene-edited. So you wouldn't get a true saber-tooth, just a Smilodon-like hybrid with unpredictable traits. But tell me, which of these animals do you wish to see back on Earth? If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video and subscribing. It helps me a lot. And also, please let me know if you would like a part 2. In our next video, we will be talking about on what happens when humans play God. Stay tuned.